The finance minister before he begins finalising budget 2016. But this time, the long list of demands boils down to two things: clearer policies and help in reducing debt. Kritika Saxena gets you that story.
IRB Budget 2016, now or never, on the CNBC network.
We've been so disappointed in the last several budgets that we are not asking for any big ticket items.
It's harsh, but it's the reality. That explains why this year's budget wish list from the telecom sector has more requests for clarity on various policies, particularly with regard to taxation. First, direct tax. First on the list is whether payments made for trading or sharing of spectrum are royalty. If not, the sector asks that the withholding tax applicable on these payments be removed.
The number of tax disputes, whether something is treated as royalty in capital gains, whether it is in terms of really saying that, in terms of spectrum trading.
Speaking of withholding tax, players are also asking that withholding tax provisions on distributors' margins on the sale of SIM cards and prepaid vouchers be removed, since these are in the nature of commission. The third demand is for more clarity on how spectrum fees are to be taxed.
There is an ambiguity in how would you tax the spectrum, amount that is paid. Is it subject to depreciation or is it subject to amortization? If it is subject to amortization under 35AB, then you get 5-year period. Whereas if it's subject to depreciation, then you have weighted it. It's a WDV, 25%, and it goes on for a longer time.
While on the subject of fees, telecom players have once again submitted that they are being crippled by high license fees and hope the finance minister can help relieve some of this burden.
We are asking for reductions in terms of the license fee and the spectrum usage because, for example, the 5% USOF fee, which is part of the 8%, we do more for rural penetration rather than anything that the government does.
The sector's wish list is longer when it comes to relief from indirect taxes. The demands here include a removal of the Swachh Bharat cess, the introduction of a provision for maintenance of regular balance of unutilized credit to the extent of credit disputed, and a reduction of the rate of interest charged on delayed payment of service tax from the current 30%. And then there's the need to reduce excise and customs duties on hardware to help consumers keep up with changing technology.
You've got to have handsets which are, make in India and which are, reasonably cheaper, right? I mean, sub probably 3,000 or 3,500, 4,000 rupees. So what kind of incentives you can give that, because that again sort of really will give a fillip to the economy.
The demands, of course, extend beyond taxation. The biggest in this area is the creation of a specialized committee to ensure the implementation of the broadband highway connecting gram panchayats and villages.
If the budget was to announce the creation of a new broadband implementation agency, which actually combines public sector with public sector resources with private sector expertise, I think we could have a very significant shift.
This is a sea change from the wish list over the last 4 years, which have had high hopes from the budget, the most glaring change being the omission of the request for infrastructure status to the sector. But even if some of these demands are met, the sector says it can look forward to a slightly better 2016. In Mumbai, Kritika Saxena.
Well, that's the wish list from the telecom sector. But coming up, acid test in Iowa. The White House aspirants gear up for the first big test. A special report when we return.